What's going on, Boulder, Colorado? We got a lot of things to talk about today, a few good stories to dive into. First and foremost, Coach Prime has put out a warning to his team heading into tonight's tilt against BYU. We got to talk about that, as well as we're going to dive into the availability report. The last one dropped last night. Some players kind of moved up and down. We've got some players that moved actually out of questionable right into probable. So we should be excited to see a lot of the top players being back for this game. So let's break all that down here on the Prime Time for College Football, a Hog Media production presented by Sleeper. I'm your host, Jay. Let's dive into the meat and potatoes on this and look at what Coach Prime had to say about this tilt against BYU. Now, understanding BYU is coming into this game as a 6.5-point favorite, which, granted, I could see Colorado's had some struggles against the type of game that BYU's play. So you would think that that would be the direction we go. And so in this week's presser, Coach Prime pointed out a couple of things. One that kind of jumped out to me is he's not seeing this as a revenge game, when in all actuality, this is a revenge game. After that debacle in the Alamo Bowl last year, I would expect the Buffs to actually want to come in here and, get revenge for losing that game. And so Prime's not focusing on it that way. He's looking at it a different way. But he did send out a warning to his team. Let me play the video of what Prime had to say.
BYU Coach Satake is, I consider him a friend. I consider him a dear friend and a God-fearing man, which I adore. Man of standard, man of principle, and a darn good coach, and a good dude. He's going to have his team ready. They've been playing superbly this season, even with a young quarterback. Defensively, they've been shutting things down and doing the doggone thing. Offensively, they're physical and tough, and that's the team I know we're going to face, a physical, tough football team. I admire him so much. I mean, played at the university, had the opportunity to play pro ball, just a straight-up winner. He's a winner.
And as y'all know, Prime is definitely a fan of Coach Satake. They consider him a friend. He's talked about that, very dear friend of his. And the one thing he pointed out that's a big warning to these Buffs is their defense is tenacious. Like right now, nationally, I went ahead and pulled up the statistics for you all. They are number 2 in the country in total yards allowed this season at 205 yards. Granted, their schedule's been pretty light. East Carolina, Stanford, Portland State. So it hasn't been a gauntlet that they've gone against. But the key things on that is they're doing what you're supposed to do against the opponents that's placed in front of them. That is the most important thing. And so for Colorado, the most important thing is going to be getting out there and really forcing BYU to conform to the way you want to play. Pass defense, they're 23rd in the country, giving up 161 yards in the pass. But the bigger thing for them is the way they're playing, the run game. Number 2, 44 yards a game. They're not letting you run all over them. You may be able to get some passes off, but you're not going to be able to run all over them. And they've only given up 16 points in their first 3 games this season. It's pretty darn good. And that's the thing Prime is warning about. And he said it in that statement. They're physical. They're tough. And this is going to be a great test for the Buffs this season. If they can pull this off, the season's going in the right direction. And that's going to be the toughest thing for us to see. Can the Buffs pull this off against a team that's super physical? And this is going to be BYU's first test, too. They haven't seen a quarterback like Caden Salter. They haven't seen an offensive line like this Buffs line. They haven't seen any of that. And speaking of Salter, we've got to look at this availability report. But first, shout out to our partners over there at Sleeper. If you're not using it for daily fantasy football today, you are missing out. Because if you think you know ball, they've got an opportunity for you to show what you know. They got the Sleeper app itself. When you download it, it's one of the top apps out there. It gives you live stats. You can pick players, 2 or more players, pick more or less on their stats. They've even got great promos. They've always got an NFL quarterback roughly giving up on getting only half a passing yard in the game. And we know they're going to throw it, so you can take advantage of that. If you want to dive in, go to Sleeper, use our promo code PRIMETIME, and they'll match your first $100 deposit with $100 at 100%. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. All right, let's pull up the availability report. This is what we're looking at for the Buffs going into this game. Now, when we looked at it 2 days ago, I like to try to do a gap in between because there's a lot of shifting because they have to do it every day for 3 days. And we saw a lot of outs with R.J. Johnson still out, Love, Trackhawks out, so is Simeon Price. Now, when you come down here into these probables, you had Caden Salter on there in the beginning of the week, and he is no longer on the list. Makari Vickers have increased his odds down to probable. Deion Parks as well as Preston Hodge are both probable, and Taufik Bayard, who to me has been one of the best safeties on the team, he's probable. So that means they're all going to play. I'm curious about these questionables in Timmons as well as Charlie Williams, but not that concerned. The doubtfuls kind of hurt, but especially seeing the DB rooms getting a little thin. But you're getting Deion Parks back, getting Preston Hodge back. You got Makari Vickers back, right? You still got DJ McKinney out there holding things down. That, to me, is going to be key for this team in this game. The defense is going to be critical because the one thing that what BYU does is they run the ball. And when I say they run the ball a lot. They are, on the offensive side, they average 265 yards per game, which is 7th in the country. That's what they do. 452 yards per game total, 33rd in the country, but they run the ball. They don't really pass. Remember, they got a freshman quarterback out there. So since they got a freshman quarterback, they're making his life easier by running the ball nonstop so that he doesn't have to be the one that shoulders everything for this game. But Bear is not bad. I mean, he's completing 66% of his passes. But again, the most important thing for them is L.J. Martin. That running back, dude's a monster. And if the Buffs can figure out how to, because he got, 342 yards, averaging over 100 yards a game so far. If the Buffs can close on the run, which they haven't been very successful at so far this year, but if they can do that, there's an opportunity for Colorado to pull off this upset if you make Bear Bachmeier throw the ball the entire game. And because of this injury report, with the updates that we've seen, a lot of the defensive players are back. Amari McNeil sitting there at probable. Keith Wade, the edge is sitting at probable. Bring back a lot of players that you can rotate in to help slow down that run. It's going to be big. Now, I think most of the weight's going to be in your linebacker room. It's going to be on Hughes and French. They're going to have to fill those gaps. Be prepared. But as long as you force Bear to throw the ball more than they run, Buffs got a good shot. Get a big lead. Chance of winning is very, very high. Let me know what y'all think. Get in those comments. Want to hear your thoughts. All right. We'll talk after the game, probably first sometime tomorrow afternoon. We'll break it down. We're going to watch it twice, see what happens. But hit the like, subscribe, and bell notification so you don't miss any of these videos. Shout out to Sleeper for hooking us up. Check them out. Use our promo code PRIMETIME and they'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. Go ahead and get into the action. Chop it up soon.